do that. And then I'm going to mute everybody. It looks like most of you are muted, but I'm going to mute everybody. So just bear with me because I don't really know what I'm doing. Everybody can still, oh, Steph, you're not muted. Oh, maybe you are. Everybody can still hear me? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Yes? Okay, cool. All right, so I will get started. I'm going to share my screen in a second. So I am Terri Lamison. I'm one of the diamonds on the team, and I've been a coach for about 4 years, and active for the most part for those 4 years, but that's kind of what the topic of my talk is tonight. So you'll kind of get a feel for, I guess I should turn the volume off my phone, why Michelle asked me to do this, because I'm kind of talking about coaching through the different seasons of your life. And I'm looking at all of your faces here and all of the things I know about you. And I know that so many of us are in different seasons of our lives. And so I think, at least I hope, it will be applicable to all of you. So let me share my screen. And I hope I'm doing this right. I have to move this little thing. Okay, Dawn, you're the one that I can see. So can you give me a thumbs up if you can see my slides? Perfect. Okay. So this is my family. I am married to my husband, Brad. I have 2 boys, Connor and Cole. They are, one is in high school and one is just starting middle school. And I am a teacher full-time. I teach 6th grade, so I'm just getting ready to go back now. And so that kind of leads into my season of life, one of the seasons that I'm going through. So when we talk about the idea of seasons of life, it's just all of the different things that we're all dealing with on a day-to-day basis in our lives. And so I tried to brainstorm a few things, but really I'm sure you all could add more to this list. But I know some of us are just starting brand new jobs. Some of us are pregnant. Some of us just had new babies. Many of you have young children. Many of you have older children, like Dawn, you and I have kids who are in sports and we're busy all the time with those different types of activities on the go constantly. I know some of us have dealt with illness or injuries on and off. Caring for parents, which I'm going to get back to because that's the season that I have been dealing with quite a bit recently. Back to school time as a parent or a teacher. Can be a really busy season. Holidays, we know, can always be busy and challenging. Or maybe if you're going through a time of loss. And I think, like I said, many of us are in these different seasons or several different seasons at one time. So the idea is, how do we keep our coaching business going through these different trials and tribulations? So just to give you a little bit more of an idea of why Michelle asked me to do this call. I don't want to go too far and too deep into what's been going on with me, but just to give you a little bit of a background, I was a late baby for my parents. So I'm 46, but my mom is 85 and my dad was 92. So I found myself in the past couple of years kind of thrust into the role of caring for elderly parents, which typically people don't deal with until they're a little bit older than I am, but that is my situation. And so my parents moved to live closer to me about 3.5 years ago, and I've been I have 2 sisters, but one lives 3 hours north and the other lives 3 hours south. So I'm the girl here who's the primary person in charge. And over the past year, a lot of different things have happened. Those of you who were with me at Summit last year in Indy know that my mom got in an accident while I was there. And well, actually both my parents did, which prompted them to then live with me all summer, last summer, which made things really challenging because they also didn't have their car. I had to drive them everywhere, take them to all their appointments, basically drop everything to be there for them. And that made my coaching business kind of challenging. I can remember trying to get up super early in the summer and coming downstairs to get started on my business things. And there would be my dad sitting in my living room at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, what are you doing here, Dad? So it was difficult to say the least. They moved back into their apartment literally the day that I went back to school last fall. And as the fall went on, I found that they were needing more and more care. My dad was basically going through the kind of normal stages of dementia, but my mom started to have some really dramatic changes that we were not anticipating. And come January, my sisters and I discovered that she really was not capable of caring for herself anymore. She made a very rapid decline. She only weighed 92 pounds. She's thin, as you can see, but even more. She wasn't taking her medications properly, and she was extremely confused. So at that point, my sisters and I took over full-time care of my parents. One of us was there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for about 7 weeks. And in that time period, we were also frantically searching for a place to move them to, trying to pack them. It was a whole thing. So basically between January and May, my life kind of exploded. And I really, as far as my coaching business was concerned, I really, really fell off the wagon. I typically struggle in the fall as a teacher to keep my business activities going. And I think the reason for that is that I never really did a good job of establishing a consistent routine in the summer that was doable during the school year, especially in the fall when things are so busy. And so when the wheels fell off this spring, I really just completely dropped everything. And it was difficult. And I questioned whether or not I should try to come back. I felt so far out of it that I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it because I just really felt out of touch with everything. I wasn't getting on calls. I wasn't doing my personal development. I wasn't, dialing into everything that I needed to be. And I just really felt so out of it. And then I kind of had a sort of come to Jesus moment with myself. So in July, at the beginning of July, I should say, throughout all of this time, I had moments where I tried to get myself going again, and it always seemed like something would happen. So like in May, I tried to get myself going again, and then my dad started to have a lot of falls and started to decline pretty rapidly. And then in June, the end of June, he went into the hospital for dementia-related issues. And while he was there, he developed pneumonia, and then on July 3rd, he passed. So it's been really challenging. But after that happened, I started to kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit, and to dial back into all of my routines and behaviors. And so I want to talk a little bit about what you can do and how you can learn from my mistakes and things that maybe I didn't do so well. So the first thing is, when you're going through any of these seasons of your life, whether it's caring for a new baby or changing jobs or starting school or whatever it might be, whenever you hear people say, be consistent, be consistent, be consistent, it is not a joke. That is absolutely true. A consistent routine, and we've all seen it with Michelle. We know how consistent her routine is critical. And honestly, I'm still working on narrowing down my routine. And part of my issue is that in the summer, I have more time, so I take more time. And what I need to do, and what I've been trying to do, is wean myself down to a shorter period of time and be more focused, because once school starts, I need to be able to do more in less time. So being consistent, not a joke. Vital behaviors are vital. I know sometimes we get sick of hearing those being said over and over and over again, but it absolutely is true. To be always doing your personal development, always being a product of the product. And that's one thing I have to say I really did keep consistent, is I always still worked out, even through all of the different things that I was going through. I did my very best to be consistent with my workouts. My nutrition kind of came and went. Always consistent with my shake. But doing your vital behaviors, absolutely critical. Your tracker is life. And when I'm not tracking, I'm not doing, and I'm not producing at all. So, and really finding the system or the method that works for you. You know, everybody's tracker is a little bit different. Everybody's behaviors are a little bit different. I've changed the tracker that I've used probably 10 or 20 times over my time coaching, because there are certain things I want to keep myself accountable to. And I just kind of tweak it and adjust it for myself. But you need to find the methods and systems that work for you. Whether you're a paper and pencil person, whether you're a person who uses Google Streak or whatever it might be, you have to find what works for you and stick with it. But the key is, and this is something I had to learn the hard way, you have to give up on the idea of perfection. You're not going to find the perfect system. You're not going to have the perfectly lined up notebooks or whatever it might be. And you have to give yourself grace and let that go. Because if you want to make progress, it's not going to be perfect. And so that's something that all of the personal development has really helped me to understand and to let go. And probably the biggest thing for me is staying connected to my tribe. And that's why I put these pictures on this slide, because all throughout the spring, when I was going through some of the things that I was going through and really being pulled in a million different directions, I still tried my best to stay connected to this team, even if I wasn't doing the things or joining the calls. We text each other, send messages to each other. And I reached out several times just to say, here I am, here's what's happening to me. I haven't fallen off the face of the earth, I promise you. And I always got all the love and all the support from this group. And I probably would not be here without that. And that may be terrible to say, because I do love coaching and I do love my challengers, and that's who I'm here for. But when it comes down to it, this group of coaches that I'm with, this community, this tribe, is what has kept me here. And if I didn't have that, I probably would not still be here. So staying connected, even when you are in a challenging time, is critical. I know sometimes I've noticed people over the years, maybe if they're not doing all the vitals or not being as consistent, they feel maybe guilty. And so they don't dial into the team. And that's really the time that you should be dialing in and keeping connected with everybody. So that really has been a lifeline for me. So if you get trapped in a season, in one of these situations that maybe make you feel like you can't quite be the same coach you were in the past, my first piece of advice would be to be honest and to own it. And one thing I did this spring is I wrote a very heartfelt message to my challengers, all of the people that were in my challenge group, my consistent people who were showing up, and even the people who weren't super consistent, because to be honest, as I started to fall off, they started to fall off. And you know that, because if you're not showing up, why would they show up? And so I wrote a pretty lengthy and heartfelt message, and I kept it on my phone for a long time before I sent it, because I didn't want to send it until I knew I was going to be ready to truly show up for them again. And once I sent it out to all my challengers and I just apologized for not being there for them like I promised them I would be. And the responses that I got were just lovely and understanding and loving and sweet. And, everybody was so kind and telling me, you don't need to apologize. It's fine, but I felt like I really needed to do that to let them know that I didn't mean to let them down and that I was there for them. And that really helped to bring a lot of my challengers back in and make them active again. So I always recommend in this situation, starting small. Start with your challengers, the people that you know best, the people who have already put their faith in you. Dial into those people first. And that's what I did for a while. I just kind of poured all my energy into those people, into checking back in with them, seeing where they were, re-engaging them. And a lot of those people had kind of fallen off, and they did jump back in once I reached out to them. So a lot of them were just appreciative that I was checking back in with them, and they were ready to kind of jump back in with me. So that was huge. Utilize all of the tools that we have. This business is amazing in that it makes it so easy for you. All of the things that you need are there in the coach office. The launches that we have, they're like gift wrapped for us. And really, I had 0 Success Club points from March through June. And in July, I had 12. And it was because we had a launch. And I was able to take the tools that we have and utilize them in that launch to make it happen. And I think part of it too is because I had developed a following of people who knew me and trusted me. And maybe if they hadn't seen me do so much through the spring, they still knew I was there. And so when I kind of came back on the scene, they were willing to trust me. So I kind of already built that trust a little bit. But one thing I just would kind of add to that is I did dial into an outside training. And I know it's someone that Michelle has done training with too, is Bob Heilig. It was one of those ones that came up. It was like a free 5-day training. And I did that in, I guess it was maybe late June. I don't know, the time is running together right now. One thing that I took away, and I kind of feel like if you have one good takeaway from something like this, then it's worth it. One takeaway I had was to stop trying to make yourself the expert on everything and use the third-party tools that are at our disposal. And I really was falling into that trap where I was sending these lengthy messages to people explaining all the ins and outs of everything, explaining the program and explaining how everything worked, and really making myself the expert. And the way that it was described in this training was, don't make yourself the expert, because why would anyone want to do what you do if you make it look so hard? If you're taking all of this time to write these lengthy responses and explanations and everything, then people are not necessarily going to be willing to do what you do. So I really simplified things, and I used a lot of the tools that were in the back office, and they worked like a charm. So I really just said, I'm doing this great new program. I'm really excited about it. Can I send you a video about it? People were very willing to watch the video, to do the free sample workout. And that was really where I got the majority of my new challengers, was from that. I even used the tool that challengers can go in and enter their information, and it tells them what package to purchase. And I was shocked because the night that I did it, I was so tired. And it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm messaging with this one woman that I work with, and I kind of sent it out, truth be told, in a little moment of laziness where I was like, why don't you try this and see what it tells you? And of course it told her to get like the mega Jericho pack, and she was like, okay, I'll take that one. I was like, well, that went well. So use those tools. Don't make things hard for yourself. We have all of these things at our disposal. make yourself familiar with them and use them. I've used the Ultimate Portion Fix video and the To Be Mindset video. When people are interested in nutrition, I'll say, take a look at these 2 programs. Let me know what you think. And I've had people tell me, wow, that To Be Mindset video, that really spoke to me. I was in tears. That was really what I needed. Or Ultimate Portion Fix, I think that's exactly what I need. That's what I want to go with. So that was huge for me. So I would say that's probably my biggest piece of advice. Obviously, dial into the trainings that we have. There's so much training at our fingertips, between the National Wake Up Call, things that are in the back office, things you can find on YouTube, top coaches, like anything. Just dial into those trainings and soak up as much as you can. And then take action. When I did really well last year during the launch of To Be Mindset, I was friend requesting like crazy, connecting with everybody who accepted my friend request, following up, and just having conversations with people. And it's time consuming, yes, but it works. And I've gotten quite a few challengers out of that. And if you can find a niche, I know some people don't like the just randomly friend requesting people. The niche that I have found is, I grew up in Connecticut and I went to high school there, and we moved away when I was in college. So I kind of moved out of that town, and my connection with that town was kind of lost. But I have connected with a lot of people from my hometown, like friends of friends that I went to high school with, maybe people that graduated in different years. And it really makes for a very simple conversation. Like, oh, did you go to Cheshire? Oh, what year did you graduate? What are you up to now? You know, and I usually just say, I love connecting with people from Cheshire. Since I moved away, I don't, have a connection there anymore. So if you can find a niche like that, where you can say, hey, we have a lot of friends in common. I love connecting with, whatever it is, other baseball moms, or, other moms from school, or whatever it might be. That's a great way to start taking action and kind of building up a following in those connections. So don't dismay. If you kind of fall into this situation like I have, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Dial in, use your team, use your tribe, use your tools that you have at your fingertips, and get right back on the horse. That's what I would say. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Get back to, hold on. Sharing is paused. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to get back where I can see you. Oh, stop share. There we go. Okay. So, what questions can I answer for you? Not that there's really questions to ask. I'm unmuting you, or maybe I shouldn't do that. I'll keep you muted. You unmute yourself if you want to ask something or say anything or whatever.
Terri, you're awesome. And
oh, there you are, Amy.
In my winter blanket, here I am. I'm gonna leave you hanging, girlfriend. That was awesome. It was just so real, and we love you. And I'm so glad that you did not just cut the strings and say goodbye, because this team wouldn't be the same without you.
Thanks, Aim.
You're welcome.
Aim is my black coffee girl. So sweet.
She comes in hot.
She does. But here's the thing, like, I'll send out a message in the morning, and the next thing my FaceTime blows up, and there she is. And she'll be like, what are you doing? Stop doing that. You need to do this instead.
Oh, that makes me sound so terrible.
You know what? It's exactly what I need to hear. And usually what I say is, I know, you're right.
I know. But you had a what would Amy do moment, and that was amazing.
I did have a what would Amy do moment. I had a moment with a challenger, or potential challenger, the other day, who was giving me all the reasons why she couldn't sign up for, I think it was Ultimate Portion Fix. And it turned out to be the alternators on both of their cars went bad or something like that. And I was like, okay. And of course I'm like, I understand, that's awful. It's so difficult when you have car trouble and everything. And then I had my what would Amy do moment. And I was like, but remember why you reached out to me in the first place and what you said you wanted to achieve and what your goals were and what would it help to wait? And she came back and said, you're right. And it worked. So if you're ever in doubt, just think, what would Amy do?
She's a genius.
All right. Anything else, ladies? For the good of the order?
Thanks for being so real and vulnerable. And
Nice.
I'm going to cry. I love you.
You always cry.
I know. I know.
And I will say,
Amy's the black coffee. Lisa's the, it's going to be okay.
the cream and the sugar.
Cream and the sugar.
I will say, though, when you do find your tribe, and it takes some time to find your tribe. And Terri and I became like a bestie tribe in New Orleans over a salad and some takeout beers. And it was what we both needed. And we have been like tight, thick as thieves since then. And I had, like, she was just a person on the team, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you just never know who your tribe is going to be. And once you find them, you stick with them because they won't let you fail. They won't.
Ruth.
That's the
So,
truth.
we're excited to have you back in Indy or wherever, or New Orleans. Oh, take out again.
The scene of the crime.
I'll be much
Everybody else likes takeout beers.
New Orleans is the place to go.
I like takeout beers.
Yeah.
You really like to take out
All
beers.
the beers forever.
Yeah. It was a good time. All right, ladies, I won't keep you any longer. How did I do? 9:31. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. If there isn't anything else, have an awesome night. And if you have any questions for me or anything like that, please let me know. I'm happy to help, and I'm happy to be back and loving on all of you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Terri.
All right. Have a good night, you guys.
You too. Thanks.